This is Doubtfire. Hi, guys.
Hi, I'm
You.
Rebecca. Welcome to Taco Tuesday, where we discuss fitness, good food, and pretty much everything in between. Our goal with these live talks is to give you some really good information with lots and lots of value, and also give you some action items at the end that you can take and implement into your own life to make some changes for the better.
Changes. Who wants to make those? Raise your hand. I'm Brandon. If you're with us live in our Facebook group or in our Just for Fun group, our Facebook coaching group, the Clean Club group, or our Just for Fun group, Drop the Fat, Not the Tacos. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know you're here. Drop a comment. Maybe you're watching on my personal or Rebecca's personal page. Either way, let us know you're part of the conversation. If you're not in one of those places and you're listening later on our podcast or on our YouTube channel, please do come over and drop those questions. All right.
Ready?
All the formalities are out of the way.
Okay. All right. Well, today we're talking about staying active with injuries, and not just talking about the big catastrophic injuries either. You know, those sometimes can be pretty obvious what you have to do with those, but even the little ones can sometimes prevent us from staying or being active. And so it has come to my attention since opening this gym of ours that nearly every single person out there has an injury or an ailment of some kind that they're concerned about. And I was certainly no exception on my health and fitness journey either, but I thought I was, and that's actually okay because a lot of us are like that. Brandon calls it terminal uniqueness, and no one else has to deal with an injury quite like I do. Nobody has to deal with fill in the blank, right? But the fact of the matter is that actually most of us do, especially as we get up there in age, we have some sort of injury or ailment or something we have to be careful about.
For sure.
We need to either work with it or work around it. So I have people all the time telling me, I can't do this exercise because it hurts my back. I can't do squats because it hurts my knees. I can't do any strength stuff because I have a bad shoulder or a bad this. When actually you can do all of those things. There's a possibility that you need to adjust your body positioning, maybe adjust the weights or type of strength training you do, or maybe there's even a modification for the exercises to make sure that you don't prevent further injury. But as I'm sure Brandon will tell you, at the very least, you can definitely move the parts of your body that are not injured.
At the very least, everybody has injuries, for sure. And I definitely do. I'm no exception. We're pretty much all dealing with something. I have old injuries that really suck in my left shoulder. My left shoulder can be a real bummer. My right hip and lumbar area, ankles and knees. Pretty much. I pretty much just named all of me.
I was going to say, is there a part of your body that isn't an issue? Maybe?
But the thing is, there's an old saying in sports, right, that if you only played when you were perfectly healthy, you'd never play.
Exactly. Right? And something that I've actually learned a lot from you is that with your physical therapy background especially, there's a modification for quite literally almost every single exercise. And if there's not a modification, there's an alternate exercise.
Yes, always.
Yeah.
Always. So the common advice, right, for, forever has been to rest, right? Go to the doctor. They tell you to rest for like a few days or until it stops hurting. Take it easy. Yep. And of course, I'm not saying, don't listen to your doctor.
Definitely not. Listen to your doctor.
Just listen to your doctor. But there's a whole lot more of your body that can work, right? I mean, and it needs to. And depending on the type of injury, if you're not working, as long as you're not working with something catastrophic, right? Like a damaged joint, a dislocation or torn things that need to be repaired, right? Movement promotes healing. It can be really important to continue moving.
Yeah. And I've had some recent experience with this where I finally get it. I've mentioned before that I have a pretty bad, not the worst, but a pretty bad back injury. And the way I dealt with that for years was just avoid anything that causes pain, even the slightest, smallest amount of pain, whether it's hurt pain or just stiff pain, just avoid it.
Yeah,
Don't do anything with it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. And sometimes it's kind of hard to identify, especially if it's been around for a long time, like the difference between like discomfort, stiffness, and pain, like, oh, this is like damaging something.
Right.
And sometimes you need somebody else to sort of walk you through that also. I mean, that used to be my job. So yeah, stiffness, like everything hurts, doesn't mean that you're injuring yourself when you push that a little bit. We can't expect our joints to become unstiff, right, or useful, strong, or mobile without moving them, right? So muscles are the same way. Bodies in general really are just, they get stiff, and then to become mobile again requires us walking that line a little bit. Otherwise, we're just never gonna move. So the key is moving in a safe way, right? Like that won't exacerbate an injury if there is one. But for the most part, if you've been dealing with something for a really long time, the likelihood is that most of those tissues are healed as much as they're going to be, right? And that you can use them without injuring them. Again, if you're working with a PT or a doctor or a surgeon, right, listen to them. But that's, in my experience in the clinic, that's a lot of what I used to see, like old injury, or people are just afraid to use it because every time they move it, right, they're like, oh yeah, that starts to, no, I'm not going there. And we can get more than just like, right? But we have to kind of know what we're doing or get some help sometimes.
I think you could create a whole nother talk on specifically what movements to do dealing with injuries and stiff stuff.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you could probably spend an hour on each joint, each major joint of the body talking about that stuff, but we won't.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Right. So
that's another talk for another day.
Yeah. So to stay on point, if you have a body part that needs to be rested, you still have a lot of body left, right? Like, is your whole body injured? Probably not, unless you were hit by a car or something. So it's important that you keep moving what you can, and that you're, so you can keep those parts of your body mobile, not to mention your other systems healthy, right? Your cardiovascular system, relies on movement in order to stay healthy. And if you're like, well, my shoulder, bugs me, so I just don't exercise, or I'm not going to exercise at all. Right. And we tend to have a very all or nothing view on just about everything, but but exercise is not an exception. Right, especially in this culture, well, I can't go to CrossFit, so I'm just not going to work out at all.
Right.
And that leads to all kinds of problems.
And back to my point with my back, I started moving different parts of my body. I started working on my arms, my shoulders, focusing my effort on there. And what do you know? My back started getting stronger, and I was like, okay, I'll dive into this territory. And we slowly started working on my back. And it hurt when I was working it because the muscles are working, but it was sore that now my back is stronger and I don't have nearly as many issues because I'm moving it. So movement is important.
Yeah, that stiffness. I mean, I don't know. I've seen that a billion times, right? Somebody comes into my, my PT clinic, or now, in the gym, in the studio here, and, I'm really stiff. I don't really feel like, I'm not sure what I can do. Yeah. And I get it, right? Like our biggest problem is just the fear, and we're not willing to move things, right? We don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of the guys, 99.9% of the time, movement is better than non-movement.
It's true.
Almost always.
That could be actually a whole nother talk there. Movement is the answer.
Movement is almost always the answer. It's hard to heal without movement, right? Even when you get a surgery, right? Even when you have a surgery, and you have all kinds of, they have literally cut pieces of you, right? So off sometimes and reconnected other things. And the first thing they're going to do is make you move. That area, with a few exceptions, of course. But I mean, you get a back surgery, you're up on your feet. They have you walking, right? They don't have you doing jumping jacks and crunches, sit-ups, but they have you moving, right?
Yes. And so on that note, it just so happens that we're at the favorite part for me of the podcast, where we talk about the next steps. So this is all great. You need to move your body if you're injured, be careful, all these things. But the hardest part is, where the hell do we start, right? What do you do? What do you have to do if you have an injury and you want to still be active? What's the answer, Brandon?
What's the answer? I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Avoid if you need to avoid the area, right? If avoid the area if you need to. Like I said, rest is seldom the answer, right? But sometimes we need to get through that like acute, healing stage or something, or if there's, if there are structures that really are damaged and need to heal for a bit, then yeah, you have to rest those. But prolonged rest is rarely the answer. So if you are in that place where like, okay, I dislocated my shoulder and I can't use it for, a little while or whatever, then yeah, you got a lot of body left. Like, get creative, do some other stuff that you can do, even if it's minimal, even if it's just like, a daily routine of standing up and down from a chair, doing some squats. There's a lot of, maybe it's a good time to work on your cardio. And I hate the treadmill, but you can get on the treadmill or get outside or use the stepper or there's plenty of body weight stuff that we can do. Lunges, yes. Don't worry, lunges will still suck if you don't do push-ups after them.
It's true. Right? It's very true.
Plenty of core work that you can do without using your arms. So, use the other parts of your body. But if you have been to the doctor or the PT and you're, cleared for exercise, or there's no damaged structures, or maybe your injury is super old, and then all those tissues are intact. They just, maybe they won't do what you want, or again, they're, stiff because you haven't moved in a long time, then yeah, you need to move within a non-painful range. So you can kind of like go to that area of like, okay, like this is a little stiff there, right? And you can ramp your way up, but not moving an area at all is, can become really problematic. So if you can move within a non-painful range at a non-painful intensity, right? So maybe I'm able to like lift my arm, abduct my arm up and overhead with no problem. But if I start, hauling ass and I'm like flying through it, like maybe jumping jacks don't work, or doing, weighted abductions is not, is still painful, then yeah, you get rid of the weight and move what you can. I know none of us like to like go from 100% to like 50%, no, or less, or whatever, less than 100.
I was gonna say even right? Down to 90%. Hell no.
Yeah, it's a bummer, right? It is a bummer. But it's not nearly as much of a bummer, as much as you're going to face later on, right, if you really don't move things. Right. So, but again, if you must, protect that injured area and move what you can. And if you really don't know what you can do, like a lot of the time with back stuff, back stiffness, then go find the help. Right. But a lot of the time, I know what you're going to do, but a lot of the time we can move, right? And we just start going into those ranges of motion that we're supposed to have. They won't be as much as you'd like to have, but if you start, you can start getting them back.
Yes. I definitely highly recommend this really, really great place. No, but seriously, find a place where you have someone who can help guide you. If you're local to us, we would love to see you here at our facility. But if you're not local to Concord, California, that's okay. Find somebody who's going to help you listen to your body and find the right movements for your body. I'm a dancer. I was a ballet dancer until my mid-20s, which is about when people stop being a ballet dancer most of the time. And there's a lot of old injuries, and I couldn't do a whole lot of things. And I was just like, oh, I can't jump. I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, I just had to find somebody who could help me find ways to work that part of my body, to strengthen it, to build it up, to get it more flexible, to get things moving. And I jump all the time. I do all the things that I said I couldn't do a couple of years ago because I found someone who could help me safely find a way to get those movements in and work that part of my body. So when you're trying to find a place to be active, don't just go to a gym full of equipment. Go find somebody who can help you, that has trainers, that has knowledgeable staff, and you can really, really, really learn about your body and learn to listen to your body.
Exactly. Well said. And yeah, if you're local to us, we would love to be that place because we know what we're doing. And gyms scare me a little bit, but there are, I'm not a unicorn. There are other practitioners out there who really know what they're doing and they're really good at what they do. You just got to find them. But yeah, I don't recommend, just going into, Joe Schmo gym and working with your average trainer. I would, seek someone who has some real training and knowledge working with injuries and rehabilitation. It's out there, I promise.
And you can always reach out to us if you have questions, and if we can answer them, we'll answer them, and we'll be happy to help you out.
100%. And on that note,
yes,
we love you. We love you. We care about you. If you reach out, we will definitely respond. I'm happy to help. There are plenty of people out here who will testify on my behalf on that. Keep doing what you guys do. You guys keep being a community. Keep reaching out to each other. Keep lifting each other up. Keep raising your hand if you need it. And when we're all doing this stuff together, then we never have to be alone, right? And experience that, that terminal uniqueness that Rebecca described earlier, right? When we start talking about these things, we learn that we're definitely not alone, that we're not unique in that way. We're all unique in awesome ways, but all that stuff that you think, keeps you from doing things, you're not the only one dealing with it, I promise. So reach out. Yeah, it does feel good, right?
And make sure you come back next week because we're going to be talking about the importance of resistance exercise. So that'll be a good one.
Yep, do that. All right. We love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.